Now we know that Albert Einstein had decided to quit school, and he had decided to quit because of his dissatisfaction with circumstances at school. Now he tried to um, fit into school, but not wholeheartedly. So there were things that he was not doing which he was supposed to do, and he was getting into trouble with his teachers. So you see, as a continuation of the lesson, where it all led him, apart from books on science, his only comfort was music. He was happy with reading books on science that were not prescribed in his syllabus. And other than that, he was also happy with participating in music. He loved music, and specifically his violin. And he played his violin regularly until his landlady asked him to stop. His landlady didn't like him playing violin, and it was necessary for him to play his violin to bring down the stress levels, because he loved to play the violin. And she stopped him from playing the violin. She said, "That wailing gets on my nerves." She says, "I'm not able to bear the sound. It's like crying, it's like wailing, and it irritates me." She doesn't realize that there is a wailing in the house of her making that irritates him. She said, there's enough noise in this house with all the kids howling. There's a lot of noise already in the house because of the howling of the kids. Albert was tempted to point out that most of the time it was she who made them howl. Albert wanted to point out, you are the one who are making the children howl in pain, right? So he says nothing, and he keeps quiet. But he decided that it was better to say nothing, better that he should not say anything. I must get away from here. That is the only thing he told, but he didn't tell it to her. He told it to Yuri. After 6 months alone in Munich, after just 6 months of staying alone in Munich in that particular quarter. It is absurd that I should go on like this. It is stupid that I should go on like this. Stupid on my part. I am being stupid going on like this. In the end, it will turn out I have been wasting my father's money and everyone's time. Why he says it is stupid of him is because by my action of staying here and continuing on in this kind of life is going to only waste my father's money and also waste the time of the teacher, the time that I spend in the school. It will be better for all, both for my father and my teachers and for me, if I stop now. And then what will you do? Yuri asked. Yuri asked a very simple question. Okay, if you're going to stop all this, what is the thing that you will do for your life? How will you survive? What will be your work in your daylight? What will you do during the day? What will you do during the night? What will you do with your life, in other words? And this is where we come across an escape plan that he makes in his mind. But before that, the answer to the question, what will you do with your life? He simply says, I don't know. So he goes ahead with his plan of escaping from school without even knowing what he is going to do after escaping. So he's a person who survives from one point to the next. He doesn't think of tomorrow. I don't know if I go to Milan, if I go to my native place, I'm afraid my father will send me back. I'm afraid that my father will say, go back to school. He'll force me to go back to school, so I can't go back home. Unless, so he says, there is a condition. If I use that condition, or if I am able to use that condition, my father will not ask me to go back home. His eyes gleamed with a sudden idea. So now he has decided to go back home and make his father say, okay, stay back here in Milne. Okay. So the idea was this: Yuri, do you know any friendly doctors? Do you know any doctors who are friendly to you? And Yuri says, I know a lot of medical students. Yes, I know a lot of medical students, if you mean that. If you mean by doctors, medical students, yes, I know a lot of medical students. And some of them are friendly also, and many of them are not friendly, but some of them are friendly to me, and I am on good terms with them, said Yuri. Doctor, if you want me to actually have friendship with a doctor or reveal my friendship with one of the doctors in this community, no, I don't have any friendly relationship with any doctor. No, I have never had enough money to go to one. So he says, how can I be a friend to a doctor when I never get a chance to go to a doctor because of lack of money, because I'm too poor to go to a doctor? Why do you want a friend who is also a doctor? Why do you want me to find a friend who is also a doctor? Suppose, so Albert brings the plan forward. He says, okay, imagine, said Albert, that I had a nervous breakdown. Suppose I suffered from a nervous breakdown. You completely lose control of yourself. It's like becoming mad because of too much of tension. That's what he means. Suppose a doctor would say, it's bad for me to go to school. Just imagine that a doctor would say, as a result of this breakdown, that I should not go to school. And I need to get right away from it, that I have to go away totally from school, that I should not suffer the situation of a school. Suppose a doctor would give me a medical certificate saying that I should not go to school because it's not good for my health, I will have a nervous breakdown otherwise. I can't imagine a doctor saying that. Yuri doesn't say that he knows a doctor. He says, I don't know about other doctors, my friend as a doctor, but usually a doctor will not accept to such a statement. A doctor will never say something like that a child should not go to school because of nervous tension. I must try, said Albert, to find a doctor who specializes in nerves. He says, I need to find a doctor who specializes in this nervous breakdown. What he means by nerves is nervous breakdowns. What he means, therefore, is one who specializes in psychiatry or psychology. I want to get a psychiatrist, that's what he means. I want to get the help of a psychologist or a psychiatrist who specializes in mental stress. There are plenty of them. There are a lot of doctors like that, Yuri told him. He hesitated for a moment and then added rather reluctantly, rather hesitatingly, he says, I'll ask some of the students if they know one, if you like. I will check with the students who are medical students who are studying in medical college, whether they know somebody like that, and I'll let you know. Will you? Oh, thank you, Yuri. Albert's eyes were shining. Albert's eyes were shining with hope. He felt sure that Yuri will definitely find a doctor through his medical college students' friends. Wait a moment, says Yuri. I haven't found one yet. Don't think I have found one. I'm just going to try, that's all. But our Einstein is fully confident that Yuri will get one. Maybe Yuri is like that. If he makes a statement, usually he makes sure that whatever statement he made comes to pass. He doesn't promise something that he cannot do. Oh, but you will, says Einstein. Einstein says, surely you're going to find one. And if I do, I don't know if he'll be willing to help you. And Yuri also adds another disclaimer. He says, I have not told you that I have found one. And even if I find one, I don't think it is possible that any doctor will agree to what you say. He will, declared Albert. Albert says, surely, I tell you, he will. And what is the reason for his sense of certainty? I am going to have a real nervous breakdown. He feels that he's moving closer towards a stage in his mental condition where he is going to have a certain medical, he's going to crack open, he's going to become mad, or he is going to have what he calls a nervous breakdown. So I'm going to have a real breakdown to make it easier for him. He laughed merrily. So he says this in a very cheerful way. Somebody who is so stressed out that he's going to become mad never laughs. Now this man is laughing there. And Yuri doesn't think that's right. He doesn't think that it is possible. I've never seen you look less nervous. He says, now you're laughing. You don't look as if you're in stress. I don't see you less, I have never seen you looking less stressed out, remarked Yuri. So he says, that's now because I am here at home. Just wait until I go 1 or 2 more days, he says, and these 2 days will cure that situation. A day or 2 at school will soon put that right, Albert assured him. Albert was sure. He assured him, yeah, just wait for 1 or 2 more days. Just 1 or 2 more days, I'm surely going to have that bad mental state. Certainly, so maybe this is the next time that Yuri saw him. Certainly, he had lost his high spirits. Lost his high spirits means there's no cheerfulness in him. High spirits refer to cheerfulness. There's no cheerfulness in him. So when Yuri saw him next, there was no cheerfulness in him when Yuri saw him next. I can't stand it any longer. He says the tension is too much. I can't stand this arguments in school and these problems at home. I can't stand it. I can't bear it anymore. He said, I really shall have a nervous breakdown that will satisfy any doctor. I'm sure I'm going to have a nervous breakdown, and I'm sure that nervous breakdown will be satisfactory for any doctor to confirm that I am in a very critical state. Right. Keep it up then, and said Yuri. So Yuri said, okay, in that case, then keep that mental state in that condition itself. That is, don't try to get cheerful, just leave it in that stressed out stage. And he has a reason for saying that, said Yuri. I have found a doctor for you. So if you are in that state, when you meet the doctor will definitely give you your certificate that you want. I found a doctor for you. You have. Albert's face lit up. So immediately he becomes cheerful. You found a doctor for me. Oh, good. When can I see him? Immediately he says, I want to have an appointment. When? I have an appointment for you for tomorrow evening. So tomorrow evening, after finishing school, you can go and meet him. Yuri said, here's the address, and he gives him the address in a piece of paper. He handed Albert a piece of paper, and he read from the piece of paper, Dr. Ernst Weil. Is he a specialist in nervous troubles? So he asked him, is he a doctor who specializes in mental stress related problems, or is he a psychiatrist, he asked Albert. Not exactly, Yuri admitted. Yuri said, no, I don't think he's a specialist in nerves. As a matter of fact, he only qualified as a doctor last week. He just became a doctor. Last week he became a doctor, just became a doctor. So usually becoming a doctor, a general practitioner, is the first stage. And if you want the doctor to become a specialist, that is the next stage that comes after some more years, right? Therefore, he is not a specialist in nerves. As a matter of fact, he only qualified as a doctor, he only qualified as an MBBS last week. So he's just a general practitioner. You may even be his first patient. So suppose you go to visit him tomorrow, maybe he has not yet got any patients yet, and it's possible that you are his first patient. You knew him as a student then? Is it the case that you knew him as a student? Asked Albert. I have known Ernst for years. This Ernst Weil is not somebody who's new to me. I have known him for many years. He is my childhood friend, in other words. Yuri hesitated for a few moments. He is not a fool. And Yuri tells him, I have known him from childhood. I know him. He is clever. He is not a fool. So if he says what he means by he is not a fool, it's an understatement. It means that he is actually quite smart. He is not easily cheated. So he tells that in the next part. What do you mean? So he didn't understand, just like we don't understand when you say he's not a fool. What do you mean? So Einstein also asked, what is the meaning of he's not a fool? Don't try to pull the wool over his eyes. He says, don't tell him something in order to try to cheat him. He will not be cheated. That's the meaning of pull the wool over his eyes. Don't try to pull the wool over his eyes means don't try to deceive him. That's all. Be frank with him. Just tell him the truth. But don't pretend you have got what you haven't. Don't tell him that you have got something that you don't have actually. Tell him the truth about what you have got. Whatever your mental state is, you tell it to him correctly. Not that you will deceive anyone. This is Yuri's considered opinion. He thinks that Albert Einstein cannot deceive anyone. I am not telling this because you will be able to deceive anyone. Not that you will deceive anyone means I am not telling this to you because you are able to deceive someone and therefore you will try to deceive him. No. Yuri added, you are the world's worst liar. You are not capable. He reiterates the point and he says, you cannot cheat anyone. You cannot tell lies. You are not able to tell lies. Maybe that explains why he was not able to speak properly with his history master. He told him frankly, whatever came to his mind. If you actually see the words, it talks about his unthinking what do you call? Honesty. Let me see. Yeah, you look at this slide here. No, it's not here. Unthinking. Look at that. In the first page itself. No, sir, Albert replied with his usual unthinking honesty. So he doesn't think actually, because he's not able to think what he should say. He's not able to react in a planned manner. His reaction is very natural and he cannot stop that natural reactions from coming out. Right? So let's see what he tells him after that. Not that you will deceive anyone, Yuri added, you are the world's worst liar. So that's what he means by you are the world's worst liar. Even if you want to tell a lie in order to save your life, you will not be able to do it. That's why you don't want to insult the history master and yet you end up insulting the history master by telling the truth point blankly, in a point blank manner. You keep telling him very frankly whatever comes to your mind because you don't know how to hide it. You are not able to hide it. You are the world's worst liar. Albert spent the next day wondering what to tell the doctor. So Albert knew what Yuri said was true and he was planning what to tell. He wants to tell lies. When the time arrived for his appointment, he had worried over it so much. He knows he's not going to be successful, so he became worried. He worried about it so much that he really was quite nervous. He really became quite nervous. I don't really know how to describe my trouble, Dr. Weil, he began. He said, I don't know how to explain it. He's, starting, especially when you're trying to tell lies and impress a person, starting is very difficult. He said, I don't know how to explain. Don't try, said the young doctor. The young doctor said, don't try to explain. With a friendly smile. Yuri has already given me a history of the case. Yuri has told me everything about what your problem is. The history behind this case. Oh, what did he say? Only what you want me to think. You have a nervous breakdown. Oh, only that you want me to think you have had a nervous breakdown. I know you do not have a nervous breakdown and you want to lie to me that you had a nervous breakdown. You want me to think that you had a nervous breakdown. Only that he told me. and say, and also he said he wants, Yuri has already told him that Einstein wants you, the doctor, to say that you mustn't go back to school, that particular school, you should not go back to that school. So he has told the whole story. Yuri has told the whole story of what Einstein wants in all its truthfulness. Oh dear. So Albert's face fell. Albert felt cheated that the truth is told to that doctor. Now he feels that the doctor will not give him the certificate. He knows it's a false certificate that he's asking. Oh dear, Albert's face fell. He shouldn't have told you that. Yuri shouldn't have told you that about me. Why not? Why should he not tell? Isn't it true then? What he told is true, isn't it? You want me to think that you had a nervous breakdown, and that as a result of that nervous breakdown you should not go to school. Is that not right? Yes, that is right. That is the trouble. So he confesses the truth and he says, and that's a problem. Now you will say there's nothing wrong with me. Now you will say that there is nothing wrong with my mind, and you will tell me to go back to school. And you are going to tell me to go back to school. Don't be too sure of that, said the doctor. Doctor said, don't be so sure that I will reject your application and make you go back to school. Don't be so sure of that, said the doctor. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm very sure you are in a nervous state about that school. You are in a very nervous state of mind. You are very tense about that school. I'm pretty sure of it. But I haven't told you anything about it. I didn't tell you that I was tense about the school. How do you know that I am very tense about the school? Said Albert, wide-eyed. How can you know that? The doctor says, because you wouldn't have come to see me about this if you hadn't been pretty close to a nervous breakdown. He says, the reason why I think that you are likely to have a nervous breakdown is you wouldn't have come to see me about this if you had been pretty close to a nervous breakdown. Your mental state is so bad that you want to see a doctor, and your desire to see a doctor shows very clearly your genuine stress level. Yeah, your genuine problem with stress. That's why I know. Now, said the doctor briskly, if I give you the certificate that you have had a nervous breakdown, suppose I tell the lie to through the medical certificate that you had a nervous breakdown and must stay away from school for a while, what will you do? So he asks him the question, okay, suppose I give you this, just imagine that I give you the certificate that you want. What will you do? And look at that statement there, that you must stay away from the school for a while, for some time. What will you do with that certificate? And Albert misses that part and he simply says, I'll go to Italy, said Albert, to Milan, where my parents are. And what will you do there? What will you do when you go to your parents? You have not studied, you have not completed your education. What to do with you? What will your parents do with you? What will you do with yourself? I'll try to get into an Italian college or institute. Okay, I'll try to get into an Italian college even without my certificate. How can you without a diploma? And immediately the doctor asked the question, you didn't pass. Where is the certificate saying that you passed 12th or passed 10th so that you can enter college? Where is the certificate? You didn't pass. So now this facility is not available here in India right now. Okay, suppose you have not completed a course, let's say 12th standard course or 10th standard course, you can go automatically to the next level. No, it's not possible. But it was possible at that time to do that in a same. So that is the plan of Einstein. Without completing his school, he wants to join college. I'll ask my mathematics teacher to give me something about my work. I'll go to talk to my maths teacher. That means maths teacher is his friend. I'll ask him to give me something about. So how do I know he is a friend? Because he thinks that if I go and ask the maths teacher for a certificate praising me, my maths teacher will give me that certificate because he likes me about my work. Perhaps that will be enough. Maybe that is going to be enough. I've learned all the maths they teach it. So he thinks, he tells the doctor why he thinks the maths teacher will give him such a certificate. He says, I have studied all the maths that they teach at school. Everything that is there in school, in maths, in the subject maths, I have studied. I've already studied. So look at this boy, he studied all those things. Though he is not willing to study history, he has studied all these things. He is capable of studying. But if he doesn't like to study something, he is not capable. Right? So it's a kind of situation, strange kind of situation. If he wants to study something, automatically he becomes able to study that thing. If he doesn't want to study something, he becomes incapable of studying that thing. So he says, I learned all the maths, which means from first standard, from LKG or whichever class is the beginning class, up to the last class, if it may be 10th or if it may be 12th, whatever it is, whatever is there in the syllabus under the subject of maths, he says he knows. He has learnt all of it. And not only that, he has learnt a bit more, which means he knows more than what is prescribed. He added. And when Dr. Y looked doubtful, Dr. Y didn't think it's possible. So he just looked at him in a suspicious way. You really think that you know all the maths? Well, it's up to you, he said. But then he says, okay, suppose you decide to do that, it's up to you. Suppose you decide to take a certificate from your maths master and go and join your college. I don't think that is possible, but it's up to you. You can try, he said. I doubt if it will come off. So he says, I don't think it is likely to be successful. It will come off means it will become successful. Your plan will succeed. But I can see you are not doing yourself any good. So here is a piece of wisdom that this doctor had. And the piece of wisdom is, it is not going to help you to continue here when your mind is set in this way, in this pattern of behavior, that whatever you like you can learn and therefore you will learn, whatever you don't like you can't learn and therefore you don't learn. When your mind is set like that, you are going to have problems with your teachers, and that's not going to be good, and you are not going to be able to solve that problem without any help. Okay, so since you cannot solve the problem, best thing is you leave. You are not doing yourself good. You are not doing yourself or anyone else, not only yourself, nor your teachers, nor your parents, much good by staying there. Any good by staying there, because you are not going to pass. How long would you like me to say you should stay away from school? What do you want me to write? How long do you think I must say in the letter that you should stay away from school? Would 6 months be all right? Is it all right to say that for 6 months this boy should not go back to school? So this shows very clearly that the doctor thinks that this will be a passing thing. If you allow him to do what he wants, he will go to Munich, stays for some time, try to get into a college, become unsuccessful, and if everything turns out unsuccessful, every attempt of his to join a college of maths becomes unsuccessful, then definitely he will go back to school, he thinks. So he gives him that opportunity to be able to go back to school. So he says, would 6 months be all right? Suppose I give you 6 months leave, is it all right? This is very kind of you. And he thinks that it is, Yuri thinks, if I escape from the place, no problem. I will think about coming back later. Okay, just have to escape first. So he says, this is very kind of you, Einstein says. It's nothing. I am not doing much. I only just stopped being a student myself. Only recently I stopped being a student. So I know how you feel. Here you are, he writes the certificate and he gives the certificate. Here you are and he gives it. Dr. Weil handed him the certificate and the best of luck. Here you are, he says, and he gives a letter and he says, best of luck. And Einstein asks him, he has to pay consultation fees. How much? He asks. Nothing. The doctor is very kind. He says, no, don't give me any money. If you have anything to spare, so this is the reason why he doesn't want to take any money from him. He thinks he will not have money, so why to take money from him? If you have anything to spare, if you want to spend some money, you want to sacrifice some expenditure that you have to make for yourself and you want to use it on Yuri. If you have anything to spare, any money extra, invite Yuri to a meal and give him a treat. He is a good friend of mine. I like him a lot. He's my good friend. So give him a treat. And yours too. I think he's a good friend of yours also. So that will be the best thing. Albert had no money to spare. Actually, Albert did not have any extra money, no luxury budget, nothing, no extra money at all. But he pretended he had. That means what? Whatever something that he had to, for example, 1 or 2 days bus fare, he sacrificed that. He decided to go walking to school. He took that money that is for that school bus or whatever it is, or no, sorry, the transport, maybe something else, some other need for which he had a little bit of money. He sacrificed that need and he used that money in order to give a treat to Yuri. Pretended he had and took Yuri out to supper. Isn't it wonderful? During the supper he says, isn't it wonderful, he said, showing Yuri the certificate. Yes, it is fine, Yuri agreed. 6 months is a good period. This way you won't actually be leaving the school. It will be only a temporary leave, right? It will just be a leave taking. It will not be being sent out or escaping from the school forever. So if the worst comes to worst, means if things don't work out for you, if everything goes bad, that's what he means. You will be able to come back and carry on for your diploma. You will be able to come back to school and continue until you get your diploma. And Albert tells him, even right then, I'll never go back to that place. He says, no chance, I'm not going to go back to that place. I'll never go back to the place, Albert assured him. I'm going to take this certificate to the head teacher tomorrow, and that will be the end of it. He assures him.